Good morning, my dear students. Hope you are all fine. Be at home and be safe. In the previous session, I was dealing with an introduction to the poem A Tiger in the Zoo, as well as its first stanza. Today, let us enjoy and analyze the remaining stanzas. Before that, let me recall what we understood from the first stanza of the poem. In the first stanza, the poet says that the dweller of the forest is forcefully put in a cage. The tiger is caged in a zoo. There, in his artificial habitat, he walks in quiet rage. The tiger moves very softly in the cage, for his movement is restricted. He goes on moving around within the confines of his cage. His rage or anger is suppressed. So this is what we saw in the first stanza of the poem. Now let's go to the second stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through the long grass, near the waterhole where plum deer pass. He should be lurking in shadow. Lurking means to be hidden, as to wait for your prey. The poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hidden himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. I hope it is clear to you. Once again, I'll try to explain these lines. The poet means that the zoo is not the rightful place of the tiger. Then what is the rightful place of the tiger? That is the forest. That means he is a denizen of the jungle. Denizen means the dweller or the inhabitant. His real place is in the forest. His real place is in the wild. If he had been in the forest, he would have been lurking around in shadow. If he had been in the forest, he could move anywhere in the forest. If he had been in the forest, he could move anywhere in the forest and he would have been lurking. He would have been secretly hiding somewhere in the shadow in the forest. But these things are not possible for him because he is caged. He must have been sliding quietly through the long grass to ambush his kill. If he had been in the forest, he must have been sliding quietly through the long grass to ambush. Ambush means secretly attack his kill. If he had been in the forest, he should be using long grass and shadows as necessary covers to keep his movement undetected. He would know where he could get his favorite hunt, the plum deer. He should approach the waterhole quietly where animals and deer come to drink water. So this is the meaning of the second stanza. Now we move to the third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle search, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. Snarling means warning sounds made by animals. Baring means uncovered. Fangs mean sharp tooth of animals. The poet says that if the tiger had been free, he would have snarled around the houses. If the tiger had been free, that means if the tiger had been in the forest, he would have snarled, he would have made some warning sounds around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. So again, through this stanza, the poet speaks about the tiger in the forest, not about the tiger in the cage. He is thinking about the tiger in the forest, what the tiger would have done if the tiger had been in the forest. If the tiger in the forest, sometime he would stray into human settlement. That means if he had been in the forest, sometimes he would stray into human settlement. He would come to the boundary of the human settlement. He would stray around the outskirts of the village. These human settlements are at the jungle's edge. Many of the human settlements are seen at the jungle's edge, so sometime tiger may come there. On seeing the villages, he would open his long sharp teeth and close to terrorize the residents. So sometime if the tiger, when he sees the villages, he would open his long sharp teeth and close to terrorize residents. The purpose of visiting these edges of the jungle is to just to terrorize the residents. Okay, he has no intention to attack them, just to terrorize them, but it would be just a show of power and strength to the villagers. He just wanted to show his power and strength to villagers. He would have no intention of killing the villagers and entering their houses. The poet tries to say that generally the tiger never attacks till he is highly provoked. Killing is not his hobby but only the necessity of his food. So that is what the writer wants to say through this third stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell. He shrank behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Concrete means building made of bricks, cement, sand, and water. But he is locked in a concrete cell. Again, the poet comes back to the caged tiger. From the forest, he comes again to the zoo and now is explaining about the current situation of the tiger. Now the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. The tiger who is supposed to be in the forest, now he is in the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made of strong building material. The tiger must have been in the forest. The tiger must have been free in the forest. He is actually now in a strong cell. He is really confined. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made of strong building material. He cannot escape even though he wishes to do so. He further says that as a tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. That is the basic nature of the tiger. Tiger is ferocious. But behind the bars, behind in the cell, tiger is not able to show his ferociousness, is not able to show his power. He is really confined. That's why in the first stanza we saw that the tiger is, even though the tiger is angry, okay, he suppressed his anger, and he suppressed his anger so that he made soft movements around the cage. Inside the cage is simply moving here and there in order to suppress his anger. He just talks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. If he had been in the forest, sometime he would have come to the human settlements and he would have shown his power. Okay, he would have shown his power, but these things are not possible as long as he is in the cage. He never tries to terrorize visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize visitors as he cannot attack them. Unfortunately, he is locked in a concrete cell of a zoo. His powerful and strong body is of no use to him as he is put behind the bars. His movements have been limited. He is continuously moving about the length and breadth of his cage. He doesn't relish the curious taste of the visitors. He simply ignores their presence. He is just an inactive tiger. He is just an inactive tiger in the zoo. Actually, you can understand the real nature of the tiger. Tiger is very ferocious. Okay, he is so active, he is so enthusiastic, but the life in the cage made him so lazy. He is actually living like a dead tiger. He has no enthusiasm, he has no mightiness, he has no power as long as he is in the cage. So that is the meaning of the fourth stanza. Moving to the last stanza. He hears the last voice at night at the patrolling carts and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Patrolling here means to guard or to vigil. The poet says that in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of the patrolling carts. The patrolling cars are the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So, in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad, and as he is confined in the cage, so he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. So, that is what the tiger is doing in the cage at night. He has nothing to do in the cage, simply he stares at the stars, shining stars, and is thinking about his freedom. The poet describes how the day ends for the tiger. He doesn't go to sleep until the late hours of night. He is awakened almost all the all the time in the day and night. He hears the sound of the cars of the zoo official patrolling at night. The stars shine brightly in the sky, and so do his brilliant eyes at night. He is constantly looking at the brilliant stars, and he is thinking about the freedom he wants to get in his life. That is the meaning of the last stanza. To sum up, we can say in this poem, Leslie Norris has given an appropriate description of a tiger. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo in his cage with a tiger in his natural habitat. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the jungle. The poet sees a tiger full of rage but quiet, moving in his cage in a starry night. The poet feels that the tiger should have been moving freely in the forest and hunting at his will. But now he is locked in a concrete cell behind the bars. At night, he watches stars with his brilliant eyes and longs for freedom. Thank you.